everybody doing? Oh.
Doing good.
This has been one of those weeks.
I was like in a zone this week. Or
like a good productive work zone?
Yeah, I know I'm in a good
the answer is yes, Joel.
When I
no matter what zone you're in, that's the answer to Jeremiah.
Always in the zone, Jeremiah. No, I know that whenever I like forget about lunch, so that's why I was having lunch during our design meeting. I was like, I need to eat something. I'm so hungry. Yeah, it was good.
This week, I was out on Monday, and I don't know how it worked out, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week, I have been in meetings, and when I say literally all day, I mean from the earliest time where it's acceptable to schedule meetings until at least 4:30 or 5 with like 12 to 1. Normally people don't schedule meetings during, but then I had to use that to catch up on impromptu calls for things that were happening. We've had multiple incidents. We had some personnel issues that we had to have unplanned meetings about. And I actually do have a job to do on top of that I have not really done at all this week. Some of these meetings, I'm a fan of like shorter meetings when we can be shorter. I think most people talk too slow.
Just like the podcast.
And man, that totally, I forgot.
James, you're leaving.
I can hear the like Fortunate Son song playing in the chopper right there.
A lot of them were like 15-minute meetings too. I think it was 10:30 one morning, I'd had 6 meetings already. And it hurt so bad. Like yesterday, Hope went to go run or something after work, and she came back and I was just laying in my chair behind me, just staring at the TV, like with the lights off, just not talking, not doing anything.
Jeremiah joined one of my meetings at like 11:30 right before lunch on Tuesday, and he was the one with his camera on. He's like, "Oh, are we doing cameras off? Oh yeah, I'm doing that." Camera off.
Well, when the light is just on, like. It's just it wears on you.
That's what happened to me today, Joel. I think Joel was the last one to turn his camera off before me. I was like, it's been 45 minutes. You know what? I'm turning all my lights off. Like, enough of this.
Dave, I read that article you posted in one of the work channels last week about like the higher cognitive load. Actually, I'm gonna try to dig that link up. I want to put it in like the description of this podcast episode, because I bet there's a lot of other people who are working remotely over the last year. I'd like to hear crowdsource some additional information. But for anyone who goes to read it or doesn't, the basic gist was it someone from Stanford? Did I make that part up? Somebody from somewhere wrote an article about how being on video calls all day, he calls it Zoom fatigue, but that's just because Zoom's a popular one. But the ways that can actually tire you out in non-obvious ways. So if I remember right, and Dave, correct me, it's like, because you're not used to looking at your face all the time, that's not a normal thing that people are supposed to do.
Right.
And because you can see everybody all at the same time, everybody feels like they're on display at the same time, versus in a normal meeting where like you're going to look at whoever's talking and everybody else is just kind of there. But now everyone feels like, if they're on camera, they are on camera the entire time.
It's like being on stage permanently during a meeting. Like you're all on stage.
Right.
The point that got me, though, was one I hadn't thought about at all until the article pointed out, and that's that when you're on a video call, it's essentially constant eye contact, because everyone's either looking towards their camera or right at their camera, and you're looking right back. And it's just not a normal thing to have such constant eye contact with people.
I mean...
especially certain people.
Joel, you're like piercing my soul right now.
I'm just still giggling at cognitive load.
that is
a real term. High cognitive load.
All right, Joel, what do you think?
When you say it like
that. I want to know, what do you think cognitive load means?
Whatever it is, there's a high load of it.
Dave or James, is there a small child beating on the outside?
Yes, there is
office?
a small child outside of my door.
Okay.
I'm waiting for Dad.
Another thing about like the nonstop meetings is like when we're in the office, you can like stand up and walk in between meetings, which I didn't enjoy because you spend so much time waiting outside a meeting room for people to empty out and finding meeting rooms and all that stuff. So working from home makes all that easier. But there was time to like walk in between meetings and small talk, walking in and out of them and stuff. And I'm spending a lot of time. I leave a meeting where I'm one of the primary people speaking, and then I'm immediately joining another meeting where I'm the primary person speaking with like 10-second
Yeah, that's right.
downtime.
Because it's
in
like,
between.
well, you don't have to walk nowhere.
Right, but I have to context switch over to, all right, what's this thing about? Open it up. Usually I'm chatting people on the side about like, remind me, what do we do about the blah, 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 blah. Okay, I can act like I know what I'm talking about now. Great.
Yeah. There's no prep time. It's just you're just in the spotlight the whole time. Ugh.
But it's interesting. I don't know. How do you judge the trade-off between all the benefits of like, you know, we do get to be in our own house, not having to
Don't always
park.
use the cameras, I think is the answer. That's what a lot of people are landing on is don't always use the cameras.
Don't always use. I like using them every once in a while just to like, so people can make
Sure.
eye contact and do things. I think you miss part of that. But yeah, definitely for like,
yeah.
certainly Scrum. Teams that turn on their cameras in Scrum are monsters. Like any meeting that's being held at like 9 a.m. is not a camera meeting.
Yeah.
I think what's tough is just, again, a lot of everything or of one thing is just tough. You know what I mean? Like, again, you have back-to-back in real meetings, you know, it can be rough. You can have back-to-back this. I think there's just trade-offs on everything. And like, you know, it's good to be around, because also like, you know, when you're directly next to someone or talking, you just, it doesn't matter what anyone says, webcam stuff doesn't even come close to that.
Right.
It just doesn't, you know what I mean? Like there's always gonna be trade-offs and stuff like that. And I think, you know, webcam stuff, you can take things less seriously, you know what I mean? Because I mean, let's say someone's talking and you do miss seeing their face, or you can't hear their voice as well. You're going to miss inflections, the fact that, wow, they're really passionate about this project, or they're sound a little depressed, right? You're not going to pick up on that as well. There's just no way. Like we just don't have that kind of.
I hope you're not so
It's gonna be- it'd be too hard
enthusiastic
to
about
have that.
people being depressed. You're like, wow, he sounds depressed.
Joel,
Hey, I've got a high cognitive load. Okay.
I like what Joel, you just described it like it's just everything all the time. The Bo Burnham song, a little bit of everything all of the time. Welcome to the internet. Have you heard that?
I don't think so.
Oh
No.
man, you ought to watch his Inside special if you haven't.
Huh.
It's not really a comedy special. It's not going to make you feel like there's not going to be a lot of laughs. But he
Will
filmed
I be
it.
depressed?
Yes. He filmed it
Okay,
himself.
sign me up.
He filmed it himself in his apartment during quarantine. Like he got cameras and lights and learned how to do everything himself. Wrote, directed, everything all by himself. It's really good. But yeah, there's a great song called "Welcome to the Internet" that hurts real bad. But
Hey, me and Joy, we've been watching a crap load of it's on HBO Max. Dang it, what is it called? Pottery Throwdown. There we go. The Great Pottery Throwdown. It's so good. It's about
Yeah, that wasn't quite the dramatic announcement I was expecting. Like, oh man, guys, you've got to check out this new show. It's unbelievable. I upgraded my Netflix account to 4K just for this baby. Pottery Wars.
all right, I'm just gonna the Great Pottery Throwdown. Let me just guess.
Yeah.
This is a British show. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely. Okay. Now I just like that you also warmed that up with like, yeah, we watched it. It's an HBO show. It's not TV.
yeah,
it's
whatever.
HBO.
It's the only one that is offered, but
No, I
it's-
know.
Honestly, seriously, check it out. It's really interesting and fascinating to watch. It's basically, I think it's like 10 or 14 contestants. They start, and every week it's like Survivor. They vote someone off, but they have to do a different challenge. But it's like so calming and peaceful to watch, because their challenge will be like literally just to make an awesome coffee tea set, or one will be a breakfast set where they have to make a couple plates and a toast cozy or whatever over there, and like their culture, they have like this little thing you put toast on and everything. And it's just cool seeing the different ideas people make, but they're, you know, you see the people that procrastinate and think they can get more done, and then, you know, they're like, oh crap, they did like 2 really good plates and the rest are just garbage. And other people that you don't think are going to do well, they just shine, and but it's satisfying because they make it, and then when they have to like put it in the like ovens or the clay oven things, it can explode and stuff. So it's just, it's fascinating to see like how they make it. But the 2 hosts, I mean, this one guy, I forget his name, I think is it Richard or something? Anyways, he is so good at it. Like, he'll do these little like demonstrations of what they have to make goblets or whatever. You're just like, what the heck?
It is such a British thing. Maybe Ultra Grunt can weigh in the chat here. It's such a British thing. Like, not, we have the American talent shows and British talent shows, whatever, on TV, but it seems to be a uniquely British thing where we watch somebody make something and then we tut and do mild critiques and then move on to the next one. Like, there's all the British baking shows where they're like, we've given Amanda 32 minutes to make 45 tarts that all have to be different. And then we're going to stand here and tut and be like, the tarts collapsed. They need an hour in the oven, darling. An hour. And you're like, you monsters.
So Joy and I, we do laugh because the funniest part though is whenever they like talk about, because some episodes they'll go out and actually they'll do this certain type of baking of clay, where you have to like build like a fire pit and you have to do it in a certain way. It's really cool.
Oh yeah, field pottery.
Damn you and damn your beard. So they'll build a fire. Whoa. And anyways, they go out and camp. But it's funny, over there they're all talking about like how far they have to drive and everything. And it's just funny because like then it's like, we're out in the wilderness, 15 minutes away, like, wow, what a trip. It just doesn't take very long to get across. It takes like what, like I think 2.5 or 3 hours to go across the whole country. So it's like, wow, that's not very far. But it's funny, like, wow, we traveled so far.
It takes me 40 minutes to get to the courthouse for my county. 40 minutes. Like, that's
when Norman got entered into the what I forget what the festival was. Dang it. Anyways, gosh, what is the name of it? I can't remember any. But anyways, one festival, it was a very small island. And they're like, yeah, if your relatives live like 15 minutes away, like, I kid you not, I haven't seen my grandma for like years. I'm like, she's 15 minutes away. She's like, you don't understand. Like, no one drives around. No one wants to go any distance. Like, if you're not within walking distance, they ain't never gonna see you. And he's like, yeah, so our film festival, the only people we get are the people that literally live next door. He's like, because if people are gonna drive 30 minutes, like, heck no, won't ever happen. So he said one time, he's like, yeah, it's like my folks were visiting America for the first time, and they were like, yeah, we're thinking of going to see the United States. Like, they were gonna just drive around real quick. Like, they had no, like, I had no clue. They get there and they're like, yeah, we barely made it across one state line, and they're like, okay, we're done. I was like, they thought they were gonna see it in like a week. I was like, oh my gosh, that's funny though.
Well, that's the problem when your gas is the equivalent of like $26 a gallon, and right now they're fighting in queue for it everywhere too. So there's that.
Yeah, when we filled up our diesel Alfa Romeo in Italy, I think we paid like $90, the equivalent of $90 in diesel. But then I realized, like, we did drive like not 850 miles on that much. Like, it got like 60, the equivalent of like 60 miles per gallon, which is pretty amazing. So I don't know. They seem like they pay absurd prices, but their standards for what type of fuel economy you have to get is so much higher than ours. Like, the idea of a car that gets 40 miles per gallon is like, why would you drive such a terrible, like, earth killer that only gets 40 miles per gallon? And over here, I was towing this past weekend, and I was happy because the Yukon was getting 11 while towing. I was like, oh, this is 11, and it only takes regular. It doesn't even take premium.
I'm obsessing over my MPG gauge right now because it's about to drop below 20 for the first time since I got the truck.
Because you've been doing too many like short trips around town, or?
Yeah. Like, I had it at like 20. This is great content. I had it at like 20.6 for years, but everything's been such like short trips that it keeps going. Like, I'll start it and it'll be at 20.1. And I'll drive for like 3 minutes and it'll be at 20.0. I was like, no. But then by the time I get back home, it's back to 20.1 again. I'm nervous. I'm worried. It's gonna hurt me to watch it change.
You guys want to go ahead and start the podcast?
Oh yeah, probably didn't start.
Well, if you listen to the last episode, I just kind of did the intro in the middle, and then we just kept going. So we've kind of already been podcasting for 20 minutes. All right. For audio listeners, Joel has walked away. James, are you sending him messages? No. All right, we'll wait.
I don't know why that got me so good.
Joel's cognitive load can't handle that during the podcast.
Was it something I said?
No.
Okay.
It wasn't.
All right. I'm still going to blame James then.
That's fine. I am to blame.
What's up, you filthy casuals? Welcome to the Casual Shenanigans Gaming Podcast, a podcast all about the irreverent love of gaming. I'm one of your hosts, Jeremiah, and tonight I am joined by, we need a nickname for him, put your suggestions in the comments, Joel.
Hey, yo.
Papa James.
What's up?
And the Ranger.
Hello.
I'm just trying different tones each time until I get one that you like.
I don't know if the Ranger is just the Ranger.
I don't know which one I hate more.
Yeah, he didn't really seem to like the deep voice, so I'm trying different stuff. We'll circle back around.
Kind of swung the other way on the pendulum there.
I can do that. All right.
Ranger!
You started out at like Satan's minion level.
Hi, boys and girls, it's the Ranger!
Saturday morning
Who wants
cartoon.
to learn about fire? Arms. As always, you can write into casualshenanigans@gmail.com to be a part of the show, and you can tweet at casualshenaniga. We're available on all the major podcasting platforms that Libsyn automatically publishes to with no extra work on my part. All right, it is now, I guess let's do the news first. You know what? We're not doing timestamps anymore. Nobody cares. It's now news time.
News time.
All right. Who has this first news item?
I do. PlayStation has officially acquired Blue Point Games. Blue Point Games they're the developers that made the complete remake of Demon's Souls and Shadow of the Colossus that came out. That, you know,
Didn't they also
clips of it? I mean, like,
didn't they also do like the remaster of Uncharted?
I think so. Maybe. I think. I honestly,
I'll
don't
look that
know
up.
other than that. I think they did, but anyways, they do incredible work. But I just saw that PlayStation now owns them.
I'm surprised that they didn't already. Like, they could pretty much only do work
Yeah, I
for
know.
Sony. So they did the Uncharted collection, Shadow of the Colossus remake, Gravity Rush remastered, Titanfall on one of the platforms, Titanfall on Xbox 360, Flower. I guess Flower was an original. PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale Vita, Metal Gear Solid HD collection, Shadow of the Eco and Shadow of the Colossus HD. Like, most of the HD collections you've played, if it's on a PlayStation and it's HD remaster, I guess they did it.
That company definitely. I mean, like when they release like a remaster or something. I mean, they're two remakes back to back. I mean, Demon's Souls and Shadow of the Colossus are just. I mean, they're masterpieces. They look so gorgeous. I mean, they pay attention to every single detail, and it's pretty amazing. So it'll be interesting to see what they do, because it sounds like they're going to make their own game now, or at least maybe partially of that. So we'll see what happens. But I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Other news. So GOG, the online DRM-free game store run by CD Projekt Red, who the gaming community continues to love and has not made any decisions recently that have made people mad at them. They're currently, Hitman 2016 is being review bombed on the GOG store. So here's the story. So Hitman 2016, and you know, there's been subsequent releases that have been added on to that, you know, in the year since then. They released the game on GOG.com, which is a DRM-free storefront. Every game sold on GOG doesn't mean it can't have DRM other places, but if it's on GOG, the GOG version must be DRM-free. The listing of the game says DRM-free, no activation or online connection required to play. So it also has a disclaimer stating, please note, internet connection is required to access escalation missions, elusive targets, or user-created contracts. Story and bonus missions can be played offline. The game did not have this disclaimer when it launched. However, it also does not mention that you have to be online to unlock new equipment, starting locations, and to be scored on your mission and to level up your location mastery. So basically, you can play the missions as long as you don't care about progression, unlocking things, being scored, any of the DLC, etc. So the game is currently sitting at 1.4 out of 5 rating on GOG. What do y'all think about that?
That sucks. I played quite a bit of Hitman last year. loved the game, but I didn't really make the connection because I was playing it through Steam. That yeah, it is always online. All the score stuff, it's comparing your averages, like your damage done, objectives completed, all that stuff, to other people who have completed that same mission. And I hadn't really thought about, it has to be online for that. That is kind of a DRM. The community missions and stuff like that, it makes sense. Like you can't download new content, and those timed events, like, you have to be online. But just playing the single player to see, the scorecard is huge. People replaying the Hitman missions is a big part of the game, trying to try different methods of assassinations and get perfect scores. That's a huge part of the game.
What do y'all think?
A huge part of Battlefield too? Just all sorts of like game challenges and
what's that, Joel?
Scoreboards and your daily unlocks. Can't wait. Sorry, continue.
What do y'all think about the idea though of GOG being like a DRM-free storefront? What should it do in a situation where a game is designed around having online-only stuff? Like obviously GOG does not host multiplayer games. It doesn't make sense. Or as far as they don't multiplayer games that require subscriptions and stuff like that.
Put the description like it has now there from the start is I think the only mistake. Like I think that's a very reasonable expectation is if it has to weigh your score against the communities online, just make sure people know that ahead of time.
But do you think that flies in the face of them having a DRM-free storefront?
No, I think of DRM not. Yeah, the connection features act as a type of DRM, sure, but it's not what I think most people would think of when they think DRM. They think system resource hog, key activations, servers going down. I don't think any of that applies to Hitman. So
you think because they're online features that actually do contribute to the gameplay, and the only way to make them work is online, which some of these, I don't think that's true. You should definitely be able to unlock stuff without having to be
sure,
online.
Yeah.
But comparing your score to other
Apex
people,
on there?
Apex, I'm sure it's not.
I mean, like it's just only online multiplayer, but
right, they don't typically host games like that on there.
Gotcha.
Well, Apex is a big Origin.
Oh right, that's
push
Origin.
for EA.
Yeah,
so
of course not.
Like even on Steam, it launches a Origin mini client when you launch it through Steam.
Any other thoughts on that?
Hitman's good.
I'm getting too old to care.
And there is the podcast title.
I mean, like I'm. Speaking of online only game, or not online only game, but I don't think anyone here has played Metal Gear Solid game. What is it called? I'm out of it today. Come on. No, the walking simulator mountain game.
Death Stranding.
Death Stranding. I just got the $10 like upgrade for the PS5 one because there's like a whole new mission, whatever, and I was like, I just thought I'd finish it out because I did enjoy the game.
Wow, a whole mission for $10.
Well, it's got like racing and all sorts of other stuff.
Okay, all right.
I think it's actually pretty long, but whatever. Mm-hmm. And
too old to care. That's right.
Too old to care. No, but I forgot that like in the game you can have it log in online. And I was like, oh yeah, that's fine. So I hit that and everything. I was like, oh, now I remember why I didn't want this. Because like it's both interesting, and I can see why a lot of people like it too. So like the whole game is about like reconnecting the world and all that kind of stuff and building bridges and stuff. And so when you do that, like suddenly your world is like populated with all these other people's things that like help you get through across mountains and stuff. And it's both fascinating, but dude, there is like emojis and shit everywhere. You walk in, it's like, woo, and these little like hands and thumb, going like high five. Like you walk out, I was like, close, shut the game down. I was like, looked like, I'm like, how do I start an offline mode? I just like, oh, thank God. Like it was like silent again. It was great.
Was it
so
at
least
like,
that's why I like the game? Quiet, silent, alone.
Just walking in the mountains by yourself.
All right, there's the title of the podcast. Quiet, silent, alone.
Was it at least like in lore emojis and whatnot, Joel? Like, was it?
Yeah, it is. It's basically like, let's say, okay, because the whole game is all like as you connect these different like hubs and underground like bunkers, they come connected to the thing called the chiral network, and by doing that, like it allows you to build like in one of them, like I think the new DLC thing, you can build this like cannon thing that can shoot your like luggage, you're supposed to baggage to take to certain areas, and it'll shoot it out into this cannon thing, and then parachute, and you can land it where you want to kind of save time. It's pretty cool, but as you do that, you can connect stuff. So when you go across someone's friendly bridge, let's say you build it and I can see it in my world, I can kind of give it a thumbs up, and it will give you certain points for your world and everything. So you can it's
kind of like Dark Souls,
helping each other out. Yeah, it's kind of like that. But it's just so much. And also like there's ladders everywhere, and I'm like, no, like I want the heart. I want to like find my way through the mountains. I don't want your crap. To get your ladders out of here and stuff. Well, because they put like these bridges across these caverns. I'm like, no, I want to wade through the water. Like I want to do it the hard way.
I want you to apply that in real life,
silent. What's that?
I want you to apply that in real life. Like I want you to stop taking bridges and stuff like that. I want you to like ford rivers.
Actually, speaking of that, James, actually this fall, I'm actually planning to, with Eric, we're going to do there's this guy's awesome YouTube channel. It's called GeoGuessr. Have you heard about it? Mm-mm. This guy is so cool. So Eric told me about it. Well, he plays this game called GeoGuessr, which is kind of a unique game. Basically, it just goes like on like GPS maps or something, and it shows an image, and you have to guess where it is. And you have like a minute, and you have to like kind of like scroll around the whole country and be like, okay, I think it's here. And then you get points for how close you get to it. Well, this guy's really good. But he started doing this thing. He did first time by himself, basically a straight line challenge across a country. And he would find a certain little section and he would do it. And so he went across Wales. And you have to look it up. It's such an interesting video to watch because it's just so fascinating. Like, so he has a GPS and he tries to not deviate within, I think, 50 meters. That's the max. And he tries to get like a standard. Anyways, he went with one of his friends, but just doing that because like he has to look on the maps and figure out, okay, this has a cliff. So he has to find a perfect spot. But it just looked like such a fun challenge to do, and it's just absurd. They're like climbing through brambles and having to go across like people's farmlands.
What are they trying to do? They're trying to find the screenshot, but in real life?
No. They essentially like they will map out a straight line across a section.
Oh, okay.
They went across Wales, so it took them about 4.5 days to do it, and they start at where it is, but they'll have to cross rivers, lakes. And so they'll get some people to like bring a canoe or a kayak, but it's just, trust me, just watch it. It's so good. And it's just, the guy's really funny too, but it's just neat. It's honestly, it's like kind of like, it reminds me a little bit of like DayZ, a little bit of just setting off, but like whatever comes in front of you, you just got to have to navigate it. And so like he'll have to go through a neighborhood and he's like, crap.
You've clearly never played with Dave.
Well, the best part is, right, so like he's coming through this town and his line takes him right through the river, like, right? And there's a bridge literally like 10 feet to his right. And he's like, well, I got to do it. And so the farm people are like looking at him like, what are you doing? He like goes beside the bridge, wades through the water, comes out. I don't know. It's just, to me, it was a wonderful thing to watch actually during this whole crap.
I've got
finding your way based on screenshots is basically my experience with Dave and Shane playing DayZ. Just like, here I am, here's a tree. Dave's like, I know exactly where that tree is.
But I'm going to try to do it across where I live.
I got to confess, Joel, a cognitive load confession just for you, buddy.
Ooh, okay.
You had to say this 3 times before I made the connection that you were referring to him crossing the region of Wales. Like in my head, I'm like, he drew a straight line. There were some whales going by, and he's like whale hopping to get across 3 times.
No, yeah, no, he's
I might be slightly feverish.
I'll send you guys a link.
You might need a day off.
Early
Your
ones.
cognitive load is a little.
To me, I would just think James, I think you would enjoy it because it's just
viscous.
It's just. There's just something fun about just going, all right, we have to do this. And they go through the most ridiculous little forests that are like so cram-packed. And it's just, I don't know, their commentary, camping in the middle of nowhere. It just seems like such a fun adventure. So
that sounds amazing.
I'm going to do that this fall. So I think I'm going to do like a 10-mile one. So
I might put it in the description.
Me and Eric are going to try to do it.
Where are you going to do it at? Is there any in particular or?
Yeah. Kind of the more the mountain-ish areas where we live.
You're going to get screwed and be like, oh my God, I got to climb a 5,000 foot mountain.
Yeah, I know.
To get to that gas station right there.
But, just to get shot.
Yeah, I thought it'd be fun to just like hike halfway, camp, and then we'll see what happens.
Sorry, I'm walking through your living room, sir, but I have to.
You might want to start with like a really low goal, like a mile. Like
Yeah, I mean, that's
honestly,
probably
I don't know if I could go a mile in any direction from my house right now without a lot of effort and pain.
Well, I looked up. There's a section. I think we can do.
Oh, you're gonna pick it
we're like,
yourself.
it's 2 against.
You're gonna pick it yourself.
What's that?
You're not gonna let someone else pick for you.
Oh, come
Eric's
on,
like,
Joel.
I'm not gonna go
what
for
kind
going
of
to the
challenge is
city.
that?
Well, if you want me to do it, I'll do it. Somebody let me use their GoPro and I'll record my trip and we'll post it on the CSG channel.
Sounds
of me
like great
trying
content.
to cross.
All right, sure.
Can we create an extra Discord channel for the three of us to inflict pain?
Ooh, what if Joel can buy tokens for like extra wandering space?
Joel, how about we pick? It's gotten a lot harder now that you've finished Norman and are not as much of a whore for money. But how about every mile you complete that we choose, you get $100?
Dude, name the challenge. So Eric wasn't going to go with me if we're going to go through like Perza City because he's squeamish. He doesn't want to go through people's backyards. I could care less. I'm going to do it. So
He doesn't want to
just give me-
trespass.
So we say,
Joel, for $100 per mile, I'm going to start you in front of a telephone pole. Like first 2 feet, you got to climb 50 feet up.
yeah, Joel, when you're saying Eric is squeamish, you mean Eric doesn't want to trespass on other people's property in a city.
Yeah,
What a
he's
wimp.
a little bitch. I'm. It just sounds like a fun adventure.
Joel's like, I'm ready to get shot. I'll do it.
Yeah, I am.
Norman's
Please
complete.
make it
Let's
go
go.
through Dave's house.
We'll start you in like Compton or something like that. Just have you walk 100 feet in any direction.
Right up a river, just right in the middle.
I'll just have him start at one end of the landfill and he has to get to the other.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Tetanus.
All right, so the next news item, Steam Deck performance has leaked. Now, take this with a grain of salt. But Valve is sending out dev kits for the Steam Deck. And a Chinese source who claims to have a developer unit has leaked some benchmarks that appear to be running on it. So I'm saying claimed and appeared to because, I doubt this is something we'll be able to prove one way or the other. But the Steam Deck running at its native 1280 by 800. Shadow of the Tomb Raider ran at a solid 30 frames per second on average with the highest graphic settings applied, getting up to 36 FPS if the settings were notched down slightly just to high. And with some lowering of some other settings, which they did not specify, the game was running at 60 FPS smoothly. Doom was running at 60 FPS on medium settings, and then cranking the options up still ran at 46 FPS. Dota 2 running at 47 FPS with the graphics maxed and 80 FPS on low. Okay, and then they also ran Cyberpunk, and on high details, it managed 20 to 30 FPS. For what it's worth, my computer managed 20 to 30 FPS in some parts of Cyberpunk.
Wow.
That's pretty legit.
If you can figure out a way to install
Every
Age of
time we
Empires
have a
on it
news
for me.
story about it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah.
I've totally forgotten. Like, it comes when it comes, but I'm not thinking about it till then.
Is there any idea of when it's coming out?
Yeah, they're releasing like this holiday season, and I'm supposedly in line for Q1. I don't know when in Q1.
Gotcha.
But
Yeah, same.
Oh man, I hope all of us get one and Jeremiah still doesn't get his, even though he's in the queue first. That would be amazing. and then like it comes bundled with a PS5.
I missed a chance to buy a PS5 about 2 weeks ago. A friend sent me a message, and it was a bundle with like MLB The Show and Ghost of Tsushima, the media remote, a second controller, and the disc console for $750, I think. And I did the math, and I'm like, yeah, actually, that seems like that all adds up. But he sent it to me while I was at a work function, and by the time I could get my phone out and get logged in and everything to the site that had it, they were gone. So I told him, like, if you see that again, just go ahead and buy it, and I'll buy it back from you. But I tried. So yeah, any thoughts about the Steam Deck's performance?
I also forgot that it exists. Will exist.
To me, I'm just hoping if it's not too much of a pain in the ass to like install Windows and get Age of Empires on it, I think I might have to get it just because I want to play that game. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to buy like a whole PC, honestly.
It'd probably be easier for you just to install, like, to dual boot Windows on your iMac.
I thought of that, but I can only do virtual Windows because I think the M1 CPU thing.
Okay.
So, or at least as of now, I don't know if it will, be somehow a thing down the road. But as of right now, I don't think you can do boot camp with regular Windows. I think.
Gotcha.
I need to ask you how you're liking the M1. Like how?
I meant. Or I listened to the last podcast and it was funny because we were driving home from somewhere and Joy goes, she's like, "You're just itching to just yell at Jeremiah right now, aren't you?" During the Mac segment, I was like, I'm like, but I don't know the specs, but I just know it runs well.
Anyways, is this about the unified memory?
Yeah. I don't understand. I actually tried Googling today, going like, I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm too old to care. But I will say, I am amazed how well it runs because, whatever. I don't even know what I had before my computer, Dave. But I had 64 gigs of RAM.
No, you didn't.
And it was 32. Was it 32?
It was 32.
Okay, I had 32. I could barely run.
Joel drops the first stat. No, you don't. Wrong.
I totally didn't.
Wrong.
Okay, whatever. I had more than I had now. It could barely run any of the 4K footage. Like when I was trying to edit, it was horrible.
Well, I don't think
That's because of your CPU.
Yeah, that's not a RAM issue.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's a CPU. Well, okay, whatever.
Yeah, having a CPU from 2012 does make a difference.
Well, I mean, like it was a fairly high end one. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, like Windows PCs seem to last for a long time. They're great. All I'm just saying is I'm just impressed that this little tiny like paper thin display, I'm editing full 4K and it's like no problem. It's really amazing. So I'm like, well, because I was worried a little bit. Like I was like, oh, if they had 32 gigs, I was going to get it. I was like, oh, they only have 16. And so I just looked up and Jonah, he does audio editing on it. He's like, yeah, my Mac Tower had 64 gigs of RAM and it was struggling to do my audio work. My MacBook Air has the M1. It's only 16 gigs and it runs leaps and bounds over my tower. And I was like,
yeah,
what is going on? So I don't know if it's just the combined of everything, adding together and then it runs well, but it's good. It runs well.
Yeah, there's more architectural differences there. It's not a RAM capacity thing. Like what I was making fun of was not that they have unified RAM, which I'm sure is more performant or they wouldn't do it. It's that they did that and then dropped all the minimum RAM capacities down to 8 gigabytes. I'm making fun of that because that's like that was entry level in 2011, 2012.
Oh no. I just think their 16 is equal to about 32. It feels like normal RAM. Like if you're not getting that, that's how it feels. Like I'm just like amazed at like the performance of it. So I don't know the specs of it, but that's how it feels, and I'm just amazed. Like how is this doing it on 16 gigs? I have every program open, running all this stuff. Dude, the fan never kicks on ever. Like, I think the only time I heard it was when I was rendering something for 3 hours, and after the first hour, I heard it going, I was like, what is that sound? I thought it was like playing rain or like ambient music. No, it was like, so
that's cool.
Whatever it is impressive. So yeah,
you've got solid just dripping out the bottom of your screen and drip.
So I'm waiting for next month for Apple to have their next event and hopefully announce the new Mac Minis. Because we're looking to do a recording studio PC or Mac. And PreSonus just added M1 native support to their software. And so between that and Logic, debating on doing that because, everything I've read about the Mac Minis is that they're like whisper silent. So we could literally sit it in the room and record it and not even affect the signal. But also it takes up space, so little space, you could easily just throw in a bag and take it on the go if we really wanted to.
Yeah.
But there's rumors of the next iteration of the M1 processor coming out and them being a little bit more beefed up in their Mac Minis.
I'd have to do some research, but I would also be willing to bet with modern NVMe SSDs being so fast, I bet they can also do a lot with page file.
I think that's a lot of what the unified memory is actually doing. Like that's kind of the big trick of how it's able to access things so quickly. It's using less RAM because it's using a little bit more NVMe.
That makes sense.
From a little bit of the reading I was doing today, I don't completely understand it, so whatever this means, but one guy was basically saying it has less distance to go to between or whatever, like however it's accessing it, it's a shorter distance, so it's not as much, but whatever, it can access it much faster because it's, I don't know, down to the metal, whatever that means, but it is pretty impressive. I'm running it's a 4.5K
People listen to us for our tech
screen.
expertise, so this is really laying it down.
Listening to Joel explain processor architecture is fantastic.
It only has a little, like, it's a short distance for it to run, for the data to run back and forth when it's being zoomed.
Qualcomm.
So they make-
Hexaquan.
The computers
the
are so
hexaquan.
thin. The computers are so thin that the data is together more.
Okay,
No, Joel, I know what you're saying. The whole
But I'm
concept of
saying
unified.
for running 4.5K of a screen,
Yeah.
plus doing all the, I'm just like, it runs really great. So hopefully it's not, if it's not like an iPhone where like, you know, after a couple years, like the iOS like bogs it down and makes it look crappy, then I'm like, hopefully however it's running now will continue to run, because it was running great with a Premiere before the M1 update. And then when it updated, I was like, holy cow, it's really nice. So to me, it feels about 4 times as fast as my PC when I was editing. So however,
That makes
whatever that
sense,
spec
yeah.
is that you got, that's how it feels. So
I was going
I'm
to ask,
enjoying it.
for CPUs, isn't it also true that for all CPUs, each time a new generation comes out, there is at like an algorithm level for video editing specifically, shortcuts are implemented specifically for decoding video that are updated with every new generation of CPU. So even if your core amount is the same and your chip speed is the same, the instructions for that CPU are going to be better on a new generation for decoding higher and higher resolution video. Like even if just everything else is the same and equal, it's going to be better.
That's one thing I was going to try to bring up earlier was, Joel, your issue with the video footage from your old processor is almost entirely because the processor's that old. Like even if it was the fastest one you could make back then, it just wouldn't support stuff well enough.
Instructions,
Same thing
that's
as
the word I was looking for. Instructions.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Same thing
yeah,
as
well,
like,
what it is, like, that's the only thing I have to benchmark it in. Like, so, like, I just, out of curiosity, I just opened up the Norman, like, project file, everything, and it was just like, whoa. So I was like, whoa, nice. This works really well. Like, it made me happy knowing that I got a system that I know I can at least edit on well and not have to worry, at least for that point. So gaming, you know, I mean, I
me
can't
next
even run
month.
games on it, so there's no games.
ready.
But
I'm excited to get a fresh Windows install in a couple weeks here when Windows 11 comes out and see what this baby can really do, because who knows how much like baggage it's dragging around since 2014 on this install.
My computer has some ghosts. It's probably like mostly ghosts in the shell, ghosts in the system now. It's like 70% just ghosts.
That's why Joel thinks his computers are so fast, is because he just throws them away and gets new ones like every 2 years. He's like, my Mac is so quick. I keep nothing on it. I don't install programs.
I didn't tell Joel. I reformatted his old computer exactly as it was for my brother to use it. And after a complete wipe of both all 5 hard drives that were still in there, and a new Windows install, it would boot from power button to desktop in like 16 seconds, like ready to go. It was crazy fast. And that's an old computer.
Yeah, Joel, you have a 13-inch MacBook Pro with an M1, is that right?
no,
There's a
I have the
Mac-
I have the Intel still.
Oh, okay. I'm looking for
I
somebody
got mine
with
probably about a year before that.
Okay, with the 13-inch with the M1, because I'm considering, like, I like my 16-inch 2019 a lot, but when I travel with it, I always think like, man, a little bit smaller would be nice, and I wouldn't mind like maybe trying one of the ones with the M1, and if it is better, I don't know how much I can sell my 2019 for, but
If they come out with the MacBook 14-inch one, there's like rumors of that. I think I might have to upgrade that to the M1, just knowing how well the iMac is. I think I might have to do that, just because how fast things are. And again, I mean, like with cameras and the equipment stuff that we have now, it's like it is so nice to be able to just grab a hard drive, edit anywhere, especially with documentary stuff I'm working on. Ever, it's so nice to just have a like. Okay, I'm gonna take a little bit to work on it instead of always going up to the office like doing that. It's just because it's just I feel like I'm knitting. That's it's like a little hobby of just gonna knit a little bit away on the edit, because it's a lot to do. Going through like 40 hours or something like that, but it's just doing a little section. But you can like edit anywhere. Like the equipment is so fast now. It's
And
great.
with the M1, you only need like half the storage space too for your video clips, because they get unified storage.
Because
If Jeremiah didn't smile, I'll be like, wait, is that actually what's happening?
the GBs don't have to travel so far, so they can shrink them down a little bit.
It's like literally you put your camera on top of it, and it like goes down to the metal, and it's like bam, right inside the computer.
It's got like a quantum reduxer thing inside. It's like
they
gravity.
take all the air out in between the bits. There's so much air in the bits. You don't know.
I'd like to subscribe to your tech newsletter.
Xfinity 2013 in the chat brings up a good point. The potato masher would not be able to run Windows 11. I think it finally will be locked out of being able to install a new one.
The Windows 11 requirements are a little stupid.
Yeah.
Some like the TPM chip that has to be on your board is a little silly.
I'm curious how well that's going to stick. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if that's different 6 months from now. But the important thing we got to talk about, though, is Battlefield 2042. Dave, when we last podcasted, sorry, James, I wasn't trying to cut you off if you wanted to keep talking about that.
I forgot what I even said.
Okay, so Battlefield 2042, I think
Old and tired.
Too old to listen.
on the last podcast, we were eagerly awaiting the announcement of the beta date. Is that right? Or had it already been pushed back?
Yeah, there was no news of the announcement either. Like, beyond DICE memeing in early September that September's got 30 days, guys, which I really hope they posted that meme before the game got delayed, because that just seems really tone deaf if they knew a delay was coming and they're posting about like soon.jpg jokes. Anyway. But yeah, am I taking it from here?
Yeah. Go for it.
Okay, cool. We now have tons of info. They dropped the beta date info, as well as like a huge blog post about XP, ranking up, ribbons, cosmetics, all kinds of stuff. I'll let you guys dig into all the nitty gritty, but important stuff for beta. Preload all platforms. What?
I'll let you guys dig into the nitty gritty. I was like, we won't. There will be no digging or nitty gritty. None of this.
Feels like you guys can bring back the tech podcast.
I just talk about cosmetics for 20 minutes and Joel gets a really good night's sleep. Preload for the beta, all platforms on the 5th of October. Early access 6th and 7th. So if you have EA, is it EA Play now? Is that what it's called? Their subscription service. And because if that's required, either that or the gold version of your console's multiplayer service is required for the beta, they're doing a 99-cent deal for EA Play for October to help you get into the beta early if you want to do that. And then it's open for everybody on the 8th and the 9th of October. And if it's like literally every other beta that they've ever done, it'll be extended by at least a day at the end. It's like the band that comes out for the encore, like, oh, we got another song for you. Oh, what's that? A second song for you? No one expected that. But yeah, we have beta dates and all kinds of info. The dates are, a little bit confusing. I put in the notes that it has more versions than Windows, because like you also get access codes with certain pre-orders of the game and some you don't. But yeah, we can actually play it next Wednesday, which is wild because we have still seen no unscripted gameplay. So the first gameplay that we're going to see from the game is when everyone is playing it. Isn't that a little strange?
I don't think so.
The trailer at least gives us some tidbits, maybe.
But to have no gameplay from official sources until everyone's playing it, it's an odd way of doing things. It's unusual.
Maybe, but as someone who doesn't normally watch gameplay reveals, unless it's like the 1 or 2 games I care that much about, I would kind of rather not watch a bunch of footage that people are going to dissect ahead of time. If it's possible to just jump into it and it works well, I would much rather just hop in and be pleasantly surprised by like, oh man, this is fun. Like, I want to feel how everything works. I get for people who make content based on the series, that's maybe a little bit different because you can't make 15 videos ahead of time dissecting things, but not you, other people. But I tried. I would rather just wait. It's not that far away.
I both actually like 100% agree with you and also 100% don't disagree with you. And the only thing I was thinking about is like the only reason I pre-ordered it because I was like, I'm gonna play with Dave. I just feel like I'm forcing it. I'm gonna play with Dave. I'm gonna enjoy this game. I'm gonna enjoy
believe that when I see it.
Yeah, I know. I don't believe myself either. But I'm thinking like, to me, there are so many games coming out. Like, I don't need to see hours of footage. Just 5 minutes of actual gameplay would have been nice. Even the little short clip was nice to see a little bit, but I just want to see 5 minutes of like, here's conquest mode, here's this little mode, you just get a glimpse. But it's only little trailer-esque things. That doesn't show you jack squat. It doesn't. Like, you can make anything look cool. You can make Daisy look really smooth and cool if you wanted to. You know what I mean? In short little clips. But if you see the gameplay, you know, then okay, you might get
The Norman
I'm not into
trailer
that, or this
in a
will,
nutshell.
yeah,
That
Yeah, exactly.
first
You can
edition
make
Norman
anything
trailer
cool.
was a lie. That first trailer.
But I mean, that's the only thing that just pisses me off about it, is because I think they have a game that's not close to being done, but I think it's close enough that, like, we got to just get it out and make money on this. And to me, it's like, I just want to see something, because, like, if it really looks pretty awful or just not my style at all, I don't want to buy it. I really don't want to buy and play, because I already know the type of game I want to play, and if it's like that, I'm like, nah, there's no way. I can't force myself to do it. It's just not going to happen.
Here's how I
Joel
take
wants
that.
a Dark Souls experience in the battlefield. He wants everybody to do one-on-one
that's true.
combat, strategic movements, and
The thing is, Jeremiah, I think if they had dropped the beta in like late July or even early August, that would have been one thing. It would have been like, oh, cool, we get to see our own gameplay, like straight up. But remember, they went to Gamescom, and there was nothing in August. Like they weren't even at the show, like at all. There was just nothing. And their July announcement was Portal, which was awesome, but it wasn't the base game, which we still have not seen. The gaps are just odd. And
It is odd. I agree. Yeah.
Remembering too that the game was supposed to launch next month on was the 12th was gonna be the early access date for pre-orders. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's 2 weeks away before they delayed the game. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm very skeptical that it's going to be good, but I look forward to playing the beta.
outside of the cosmetic and stuff info, we have some questions that were actually answered this week. Some important ones that I think outside of gameplay are really important. Crossplay is confirmed. All platforms generationally can crossplay together. It will not be working for parties in the beta. Like, you can't party up with consoles in the beta, but on launch that will be possible. So you can do a PlayStation 5 and PC party, but that's not available in the beta. Additionally, because crossplay is enabled, they actually care about anti-cheat now, instead of just leaving the PC players in the dust. It's going to have easy anti-cheat, and there will be a fast and easy report system built into the game, versus in Battlefield 5, you had to bring up the origin overlay and hope it didn't crash the game, to then bring up the scoreboard, find the player who's cheating, right-click on their name, view profile, scroll down, submit report, type your report at 1/2 of an FPS in the overlay, and submit it and hope it doesn't crash. That's how you did cheaters in Battlefield 5.
Do you think you can use some of your influence with EA to get some of those like back end statistics on how many people are going to report you?
Oh, I hadn't really thought about that. Maybe I should change my name actually before the game comes out.
Wait, we should do things like social media does now, where if enough people report Dave, just a disclaimer pops up over his plane while he's flying. That's like, this player is not breaking any of the rules. Appearances to the contrary. Would you like to read our anti-cheat policy? Click here. Click here. Click here. Click here.
It just shows the meme of the guess I'll die guy over my head. The other confirmation, no, that was it. Anti-cheat is confirmed, and that's because of crossplay. Yeah. So finally some answers. Honestly, tons of info. They dropped all of it at like 11 a.m. on Tuesday. And it was very confusing to have 2.5 months of complete silence and then just tons of info. But
yep. Oh, I'm sorry.
I just one final thought. I am more excited for the beta than I was expecting. Maybe it's because I haven't seen anything yet. Like, I'm going to go into it completely blind, but
I think also because the last game wasn't that great during, beta and like the start at least. So hopefully this one seems. Well, I think this one seems like it could be more fun or more like maybe the last couple games, even though I doubt it. But it just seems kind of exciting because it seems more like a normal game.
Joel, I think you and John are instantly, within a week, are just going to be in the server that's nothing but like fighting with screwdrivers, like in Portal when that releases, and that's all you're going to do is naked screwdriver.
Actually, I don't want
fight.
to play any Portal. I don't actually want to play any of that crap. Like,
Really?
I don't know. To me, the only thing that annoys me is like
it's mods to him.
I don't want to build my own game. Like, that's the thing.
Other people will make stuff you can play. You don't have to do it yourself.
I know. I do.
It's
Like
too
Little
much
Big
work.
Planet stuff.
I'm
Little Big
tired.
Planet, everyone can create their own worlds and stuff. No, I was always like, I'm happy for you, but I don't want to even touch your game. I don't want to be in your world. Like, I just want to just play what the developer made and just be on my merry way.
Let me ask you this, Joel.
What?
Why did you ever play DayZ? Why didn't you just play more Arma?
Well, I mean, because Daisy was made by the Daisy people.
No.
Like I would call it, like, I don't know. It's like that was like I don't know. That felt more of
No,
like a
that wasn't
developer.
true at
Like,
first.
But
It
I don't
wasn't hired
like
until a
playing
year
mods.
later.
Like I said, I don't like installing lots of mods. No, it felt like a game. Hey, I was the first one to play it.
James,
So,
you got him.
just so you know.
You got him, James. Pinned against the wall. He's squirming. He's squirming.
That was old Joel, though. Modern Joel wants to log into his game, put it online where the DRM can give him a little pat on the head. lay on the
on his
couch.
1/8 of an inch thick computer.
They're like, hey, you're going to have to get up and put the disc in, or you can pay $1 every 5 minutes. And Joel's like,
$1 every 5 minutes.
I got a line of credit.
yeah, Joel's like, that's only $12 an hour. Joel's like, and I get to stay on the couch. I'm old. That seems fine.
Well, at least I finish games.
That's
My methods are crazy, methods of madness, but at least I finish.
I would like to
games
see how you schedule your time, Joel, because it's absurd. When you talk about your activities, you're like, yeah, I play volleyball 4 or 5 times a week. Also, me and
Well, the
Eric
thing
are going
is,
wilderness hiking for
I don't
4
watch
days.
any TV at all. Like I really don't watch any
I
TV or
don't.
movies, like ever.
Well, Dave, you have a child.
Dude,
That's
you would
different.
hate me how I watch.
And you have tree
I'll
people
watch
every
like
other
15
week.
minutes of.
Joel,
What?
Joel, I already do hate you. Well, all right, that came out a little harsh. When we came over,
No. Commit.
when
Let's
James and I,
podcast, everybody.
when James and I came over to your house the day after the Rise of Skywalker, and you were laying under a blanket mourning on the couch, watching 10-minute snippets of your favorite bits of classic Star Wars movies, it was infuriating. It's like, watch Empire Strikes Back or don't. Why are we jumping back and forth so you can groan under a blanket?
Old and tired.
So yes, I do hate the way you watch TV shows. You're right. No, but I feel like you're the best at like, hey, I have 4.5 minutes. I'm going to sit down and fire up Ghost of Tsushima and go do a collectible. And I'm like, if I have 4.5 minutes, I'm just going to lay on the couch and just like chill for a few minutes. And Joel's like, I can get something done.
So much truth in this podcast tonight. Oh man, that's good.
Joel, when I finish work, I don't have the will to live, much less the will to game.
Jeremiah's achievement unlocked is just getting up in the morning.
Oh, it's too true.
You did it again, buddy.
You're alive.
Platinum trophy.
It's more like, just staring at the wall.
Screaming.
All right.
So before we move completely on, like,
Yeah.
what did you guys actually think of the footage?
It looks like Battlefield. I mean, I don't know how many times they want to show us different angles of the tornado. Like, cool, it looks cool. All of the big events they've shown in previous games in the trailers look cool, but whether or not it's fun to play, you have to experience it to know. Like, of course, visually it's super impressive. Battlefield has always looked great, but I don't know. I got to play it to see if all that turns into a good game or if it's just a bunch of window dressing on Battlefield
me, it
4
looks like-
mechanics.
If someone told me it was a Battlefield 4 like DLC campaign, like I'd believe it. Like, oh, like because like it looks like that ocean level that they did, you know, with the ship crashing in. Like, there's just not enough time to like see it or capture it, and also the trailers are always released, and I don't know, it doesn't seem like a very high quality. So it's like you can't get enough of it to like go, what is this gonna feel like actually playing it? You know, it just always feels like trailer.
Oh, sorry, James.
My only fear is that it, like, I mean, with the shots that they chose to use, everybody is like all clumped together and like, I guess, charging together, but they're also having fights at the same time. Like we had enough like small maps before, like when those big maps would hit, we're like, oh yes, thank you, finally a real map.
Room to breathe.
But it just felt like everybody was on top of each other, I guess, charging in. But it felt like the scene from Civil War when all the superheroes are just kind of charging at each other at the same time.
I hope it's a trailer thing. Yeah, I hope that's not a frequent amount.
Hope it's not an indicator
There's
of how
100 players.
congested it's going to be.
Jeremiah, did you watch any of the leaked footage from the technical test?
No, it was too low resolution, and I have standards.
It was awful. Not that I would indulge in such
Right,
leakage.
of course.
Yeah.
You would indulge in leakage?
I don't know why that got me good. Man, now I've lost complete
Wouldn't
track
take part in any discharge?
from my cognitive load getting clogged up. What was I gonna say?
The leaked footage. I didn't watch it. You did.
Yeah.
Yeah, the leaked footage. I was relieved to see that there is obviously a huge visual bump from the clips and screenshots that I saw, to a point where again, it's little vignettes of footage we saw in the actual trailer. But just looking at some of the stills from that, it looks to be at least on par with Battlefield 5, which, given the scale increase, is actually more than I was hoping for. I was expecting a visual downgrade from Battlefield 5, given the scale increases. So that's what I was going to lead back around to, was that's actually why I think I'm most excited, is because the game could almost be any theme Battlefield setting for me. What I've been waiting on since they teased Battlefield 3 in 2010 was like, holy crap, 128 players finally. And then they announced Battlefield 4. I'm like, oh, a game coming out a year and a half after Battlefield 3? They're definitely doing 128 players now. Like, it's Modern Warfare again, definitely 128 players. But it's taken a decade for that to actually happen. So I think that's...
I mean, that's nice and all, but if the maps are small, it's going to feel like close quarter combat nonstop.
Or if the maps are big and everyone takes the vehicles immediately.
Yeah.
And that's the other half of why I'm actually excited, is because I always expected them to just throw more players in the map. And they talk in one of their blogs from June that they tried that for multiple Battlefield games in the last 10 years, and it just didn't work. It was too much chaos. They've reworked the conquest flag system to subdivide the map into like regions, so that you fight for a region and then the flags that control that region. And it's designed in a way, if it works, that you shouldn't have the whole server clustering in one spot or circling the map in one giant horde like in Battlefield 1.
So I just
I'm
thought,
really
Dave,
curious.
So that means you're going to have 3 different groups somehow coordinating to get 3 different flags?
I think if you own, like, say, 2 out of the 3 flags in the region, you can capture it slowly. But you...
Oh, yeah, okay. I was going to say, I was like, that'll be interesting.
But, yeah, never guarantee any kind of teamwork like that. But all that to say, the reason I'm more excited now about the player count is because it looks like they've really thought about how to do it versus just turning the dial up from a technical perspective and like adding more RAM to the servers. Like, they thought about it from a gameplay perspective. I really hope that works out, because the bigger player count is what I've always wanted for Battlefield.
On a side note, Hell Let Loose is going to be free on PS Plus.
How crazy is that? It
October.
just launched on Steam in July.
Yeah, so
That's awesome.
kind of cool.
James, what are you playing this week?
I don't know. I hate when I get to this part because I don't prepare. I know I launched something. Come back to me. This is like ordering at a restaurant. Like, I'm not ready.
I
All
love
right, I'll go. I've been playing more Star Citizen. They're doing their fly. They did their fly free week, because they have like a ship contest every year where people vote on the most fun ships to fly. Then they make the 4 finalists available for anyone to fly for a week. So me and my friend Chris have been doing that. Having a great time. They're bigger ships, much bigger ships, like cargo ships and a luxury yacht liner and stuff. And the luxury yacht, the Origin 600i, has 3 really heavy laser cannons. So we took that bounty hunting, and it's amazing because you can just shred people with these laser guns, like in a couple shots if you can get good beads on them. Super fun.
Dude, that sounds so awesome.
It is a lot of fun.
Listening to the last podcast, you guys talking about that, you had me sold. I was like,
Yeah,
man. If I had a piece, I was like, that sounds amazing.
Joel,
and Dave was 100% right. I would 100% be full corrupt, evil bounty hunter. Like, oh my gosh, that sounds like so much
Joel,
fun.
come over and play it sometime.
I need to come over. I need to see this, because I was like, it just sounds awesome. I was like, if you can really like free roam anywhere and just like can you just see like other players and be like, I'm gonna just blow your ship up, or
You can,
try
but,
to, or get screwed?
You can. I mean, you kind of need to hang around spaceports and stuff. You're not going to be out in the middle of space and just someone else chances across you, probably. But
Oh yeah, I know.
Joel
like if you went to the same
would happen.
mission,
I mean-
you might see some.
oh yeah, well, sorry, go ahead, James.
Let's be fair. The amount of times that Joel has played DayZ, we ended up within 5 minutes, like him taking his pants off for a random group of strangers because he'd run into a group. I think Joel would find a way to be always found in the middle of space.
That's true. But
He's like, I'll take my
guys are
pants
on
off.
some
Like, that's
planet
not part
trying
of the
to mine.
game. I'll do it anyway.
when we had
Like,
the
guys, I think I clogged the toilet on the ship, and they're like, hey guys, 15 people boarded.
Where did they come from?
when we took the 600i back to one of the space stations hovering above one of the planets, Everest Harbor, we took the 600i back after like a night of bounty hunting where we'd gotten hit a bunch. The shields were damaged. Like, we had a legit amount of damage because we'd taken out 9 AI ships this time. But
Yeah.
And so we got back, and there was a bad guy, like another human player who had just, I guess he built up a crime stat and decided he was going down swinging, and he was fighting. He killed all of the AI defense at the space station. And so we
that's awesome.
we warp in, and there's just fighting going on, and we're like, oh crap. So our shields get knocked down pretty quick. We're trying to pivot, but it's a big, heavy ship, and he's a little fighter. So he's zooming all around us while we're trying to just rotate to get the guns on him. And we ran out of all the kinetic ammo for our rotatable turrets that Chris was in. So I'm the only one who can shoot. I'm in the main seat. Chris is in the co-pilot seat trying to like divert power to the shields and stuff. And they just wore us down and like, I think eventually ran into us and took us out.
So what happens when you die?
They pulled a holdo.
Yeah. What happens when you die?
We respawn
like,
at the
respawn
last
somewhere?
space station that we actually docked at.
And do you have to just like rebuy a ship or something?
No,
or?
you get insurance for ships, and so right now while the game is in
okay.
development, you have unlimited.
I'm dead, but I got insurance, so I'm coming back to life.
You have unlimited insurance because a lot of the times
like-
when the ship breaks, it's not your fault. It's the game going like, oopsie.
Yeah.
So they
But
have
it's supposed to be
give
down
you-
the road where like you could get a big ship, and if you lose it, like you're gonna just have to buy.
Well, you'll
a new
actually have
one
to pay for insurance,
Okay.
and if you run out of money and are like don't keep up with your insurance when you lose the ship, it's gone.
Oh man.
Too much like real life.
But me and Chris have also been dabbling in mining. We bought a little mining truck. We're not really trying to commit too much right now because they're doing a wipe, like a database wipe in mid-October. It's their first one in like 18 months because they got a big patch coming out. And once they do that, we're going to start grinding and actually buying ourselves like a mining ship, a transport ship. Like we're going to get serious about it. Chris has bought a better...
All right, are you making any videos of this for this?
I don't
Or
make
no?
videos anymore.
I don't know if you were... Okay. I didn't know if you were doing that.
Yeah, I've been tempted to a bunch of times, but then I think about it and I'm like, I don't want to. But just for you and other people, I have been taking screenshots and editing them and stuff, doing like photography in game. So I can make a Flickr album I can share with you if you want to take a look.
Sure. I
Why don't
mean,
you
I would love to see
stream
just like
private
just like
stream?
watch like an hour of normal gameplay just to see what it is.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'll just record
It
something.
sounds like Daisy in space, like just the idea of like, you know, the risk reward of, you know.
So in the Joel taking off pants nostalgia, thinking about the time where we were fighting in that building and you took your pants off for some reason and they fell through the floorboard and you kept looking at that rock on the floor. Thinking it was your pants, like thinking your pants turned into a rock.
You were afraid to ask because you were afraid to make fun of you, which we would have.
Yeah, because like just earlier, I think I like thought like a dude with like a bush was another person or whatever, so I kept calling out crap like that. I was like, no, not again. And I'm like, did my pants
You
become
sent me
a
the
rock?
clip, and you looked at that rock like 100 times. Like you're talking about other things, like oh man, he's put by the window, guys. All right, I'm gonna sort my ammo and reload. And then, like on screen, they're like, you look back at the rock, like, are these my pants? You're like, oh,
Do you have this?
just shut the
Do
guy
we have it
outside.
somewhere? I haven't seen it in a long time. Okay, yeah,
I don't know. Oh man,
Shane can probably find it in a heartbeat.
You
I don't know if
probably
it was
already
ever
has a
actually in a
link.
video, but
It was in a video.
was it?
I've gone back. Yeah, because I went back and watched it.
I might know where to find it then if it's in a video.
Man, those early Daisy. Oh, that was the best. That was
All
the
right,
absolute best.
Joel, you're spiraling. You're spiraling.
I was just
yeah,
gonna say
sorry.
that first night that we played, where the frame rate was like 4 in the city.
Oh man.
Oh,
Joel, what have you been playing?
That's right. Joel also that was the same night that Joel died of thirst right next to that water bottle in the room. You can like see it in the footage. You can see the water bottle. He goes right past.
Cyclone splash. That's how a stubborn old man dies, right there.
Ultra Grunt just said, "Yeah, he'll grab it." So
Oh, thank you.
perfect.
Oh man.
Well, I've been playing Miles Morales, the like Spider-Man
nice.
sequel.
How are
That
you
one's
liking
really
it?
good. Oh, it's fantastic. Great storytelling in it. And cool like new like powers and things like that. It's done really really well. And I love like just the connection to the first game too. So, is his character in that like Spider-Man movie, the like animated one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because
I mean,
I don't
it's
know
a
if he was like a
different version
long
of the
time
same
like
person, but-
Spider-Man like character in the comics or anything like that, or
Yeah,
from the
he
He
game.
hasn't been
or
around
from that
terribly
movie.
long, but he came
Gotcha.
around like
10,
I don't know,
15
was
years
that-
ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, Miles Morales
wow.
has
Okay,
he's
well,
been a Spider-Man character for a decade or more.
Gotcha. Yeah, because when the game came out, I was like, who's that? I'm like, never heard of this before. And then I like his introduction in the Spider-Man game was really interesting and cool and stuff. So I was like, oh, neat.
Yeah.
So, been playing that, and I forgot I had a free copy of Days Gone because I saw some Twitter post about it's like 60 FPS now or something like that. I was like, I never played it ever, and it didn't actually interest me that much. Although I do like the actor in it because he's from he played the Star Wars. Clone dude from I forget the game, 2 games.
Force Unleashed.
It is really good. I'm like really surprised. I really thought it was going to be arcadey and like, I don't know, kind of goofy and stuff. I don't know why. Like the trailers, they just didn't sell me. Like the idea of it and like the Oregon area and like the woods, like it looked cool. But I was like, it just felt a little bit like too many little things to like explore and stuff that it was, I don't know, almost like overwhelming. But I just thought to just give it a shot. It's really, really good. I'm really enjoying it. Like the motorcycle riding is actually really, really fun. It's way better than Wildlands, of course, way better. You can kind of slip around, but yeah, like just like the gunplay is like really chunky. Like you don't get a lot of ammo. Like you'll get like an AK with like 12 rounds and taking on like
The
6
Last of
dudes.
Us.
Yeah, it does. It does kind of feel like it feels a mix between Last of Us, Wildlands, and Wildlands. That's kind of how it feels a little bit. Like, you'll see if you get to play it.
What did you just say? What did you just say? What did you just say? You said it feels like a
Wildlands.
mixture of Days of The Last of Us, Wildlands,
And Wildlands.
and Wildlands.
Oh,
Is that
not
2
wrong.
parts Wildlands and 1 part The Last of Us?
I don't know.
Man,
Yeah,
we're barely hanging in
it's-
there. The wheels are off. the
Anyways,
train.
we'll see. We'll see how long the game is and if it holds up well or anything. But I'm like really surprised. Even the story is actually really, really interesting. But
I was meaning to ask you about it because I saw you streamed like an hour of it on your YouTube channel.
I was trying to show Dave a little bit of
Okay,
it.
Joel's little treat streams are always like, oh, Joel is playing this game.
Dude, I get like stressed when like people like comment like, hey Joel, how's it cool? Can you show me? Like they're like sometimes they'll be like, hey, what's going on with it? And I'm like, dude, I don't have a way to chat back or anything. I'm like, I'm never gonna see any of that. So like it just drifts by as I'm playing a game.
That's one of the great things about Discord streaming is Discord streaming is definitely built for like, hey, let me just show a friend the thing that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
Well-
want you to do with Star Citizen sometime.
I can. I'm
Yeah,
going to start
we should do
recording
that.
Shadowplay clips just when interesting stuff happens and whatever. I'll put together a little... I already recorded some footage of when we actually did some gunplay the other night. Like, we got rifles and took an area.
If you have a PS5 or the PlayStation 5 app on your phone, I can now just stream directly to that, like just your friends list, and you can just watch it on your phone now, which is pretty cool.
You're just trying to hurt me now by saying that. Of course, I don't have the PS5 app.
I think it might actually work if you just have a PlayStation account in general. So I don't think you need to have a PlayStation 5. I think if you just have the app and you're signed in, I think you can actually view it too. But who knows?
Okay. Dave, what about you?
Oh man, I played a little bit of Mass Effect, and the comment about Joel having 4 minutes to hop in and like beat a game made me laugh because it took me a week to find an hour and 45 minutes to play some Mass Effect, and it was basically like a side mission and doing a bunch of talking to people on my ship and planning out the next mission. And I was like, oh, it's time to go to bed. It's past time to go to bed, and that was it. That was hour 45. But I was like so proud of that. Like I managed to find time for it. Managed to dial back my Anno playing. I've been like gone a lot the last couple weeks, but a new cosmetic DLC just launched, so now I'm loading back in to add canals and bridges all over my city because they're awesome. I'm gonna be trying the World War III alpha this weekend. They're probably very excited about the Battlefield delay. They're trying to push a new version of World War III out. This is like the 3rd time they've relaunched the game, but this time there's an item store. It looks like that's like disabled in the test. So
I'm sorry, what game is this? World War III?
World War III. It was the Battlefield killer when Battlefield 5 was like being made fun of in 2018.
I have no memory of this game.
You may not have played it, but all of us played it. Like it's like 10 hours or so.
Okay.
It started out really promising. Had like two fun maps, but the more content they added, it started to run really poorly. And their initial test week, the servers were just garbage, and it never came back from that. So
Okay. Joel, are you cool if we hold your stuff till next podcast?
Yeah,
Just for time.
I had one more.
At the rock. I'm like, looking at it. Oh, this is a good clip.
I did have one what I haven't played this week dad moment. I installed Star Citizen, was all set to try it out, was gone all day Saturday, and then Sunday we went to the park, and then I came home and cooked burgers and then went to bed. Then you posted those screenshots the next day, and I was like, that's what I forgot. I downloaded all, what was it, 60 some gigs for no reason.
There'll be another fly free weekend, I'm sure. But yes.
I'm sure I'll fail to remember it again then too. I can't wait.
All right, anything else we got to cover before we wrap it down tonight?
You guys want to have just a little tease of the book I have to read?
Okay. Joel has a new book for us all to read. It's called Damiano's Loot.
Is that a demon and an angel?
I like that guy.
There's a demon, an angel, and a cloud shadow demon that may or may not be in a relationship.
This is fantasy at its highest point. Talented. Miss McAvoy's talent is strong and flowing. Oh man, yeah, it's gonna be good.
Joel has
I got
a
it
new
for
book
a
to read
quarter.
for us.
Yeah, I got it for a quarter.
It's amazing you can still buy any books for a quarter.
To answer Ultra Grunt in the chat, yes, I was actually watching the clip. Totally busted. Which is why we're ending very succinctly.
So we can
all
go
watch
it
it
together. I do want to make one plug at the end. Of course, you can write into casualshenanigans@gmail.com. Quantum of Infinity. We are going to probably cover your mail in a future main topic. You can also tweet at casualshenaniga. But if you want to come hang out in the live chat while we record these episodes some Thursdays around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it's a fun group of people that hang out in the chat, and you can hang out and talk to them. So follow us on Twitter, and we will tweet out when we're recording. We don't normally know we're recording till the day of, if people are available. I think this is the third podcast in a row that's
think of it like getting a PS5.
What?
Our podcast is like a PS5 release. Like, you got 24 hours. Or maybe even less than that.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, thank you all for coming out and being a part of the show. We're running on fumes. And until next time, Joel, what should people do?
Stay casual.
And slap their cognitive load.
You're killing him.
Are we live? Did you? Oh man, I thought you said and slap their cocks. Oh man. Oh man, that was so